Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to another edition of This Week in Karting. It is December 13th, 2023. My name is David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as we are bringing you episode 72 of our podcast, hitting all the major news that has been on the EKN homepage, social media over essentially the past almost 2 months. It's been some time away from the podcast studio. We had obviously the Super Nationals in November, got into Thanksgiving, and now we're into the month of December, the final month of 2023 before we get into another season in 2024. So yeah, a little bit busy, Nate, in the EKN offices, you in Minnesota, me in Michigan. So it's been a wild 2 months. So we haven't really had much time to sit down, put together a script, and get back into the podcast studio to get going again with This Week in Karting.
Yeah, every time we seem to catch a break, there's always something big coming after it. So once the 2023 season pretty much wrapped up for the pro side of things, we had a week or two that was kind of a lull, and then Super Nationals hit, and post Super Nats have some time on our hands before the Winter Series action kicks off. So hopefully some more time to do these.
Yeah, it's just been a lot. We had some face-to-face shows, so we were able to get back in the studio with that. But yeah, in terms of podcasts, just haven't been a lot of time to kind of sit down and actually write up a script. We try to be make everything presentable as we do our podcast. So, but there's been a lot of news. So there's a lot to talk about here in this episode, and we hope you enjoy it. Again, episode number 72 on December 13th, 2023. And this show is presented by Parolin USA. It all started in 1994 when former kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and they run a factory team at all the major SuperKart USA, USPKS, and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup includes the Invader shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior drivers, the 28mm Opportunity model for the cadet classes, and the Daytona 4-cycle chassis. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to parolinusa.com. So yeah, Nate, as we said, last episode, October 25th, episode 71, that was prior to the Super Nationals, so a lot has happened. But there were some notable news items that happened while we were at the Super Nationals. One of them including the Sodi Pro Race Academy established between Sodi Kart Group, Sodi Racing USA, and PK Sports to kind of focus on young drivers in the micro and mini class to kind of foster their growth on and off the racetrack, kind of get insights from significant leaders in the motorsports world, kind of a comprehensive support, including medical assistance, sports training, experience coaching, just on and off the racetrack, including marketing aid as well, to kind of help develop these drivers for the next ring and moving up not only the sport of karting, but to and beyond. This is a cool little program. They had a kart graphics set up for in the Super Nationals paddock. Dignitaries from the Sodi Kart Group in France here at the Super Nationals, of course, with Thierry Germanovich with Sodi Racing USA, and of course, those with PK Sports as well. So again, that's something we've seen, Nate, throughout the season, was Sodi really focused on bringing in a lot of drivers into the cadet divisions and being very successful at it as well, too.
Yeah, it just shows more of an investment into the youth drivers that are obviously doing quite well on the Sodis. I think there was 3 Sodi Kart drivers on the podium in Mini alone. So just showing you how strong that program is in the short time that this revitalized Sodi program has been over in the U.S.
Yeah, a micro Swift win with Maxwell Macha, a number of drivers on. I think that was the podium that had 3 drivers, but also some mini drivers as well too that were in contention. So again, it's good to see. The Sodi Kart brand is big worldwide. When you look at it, both competition and of course rental side of things, nearly every rental track you go to, it's SOTY brand. So that it's good to see that, there's a lot of focus, and it's not just SOTY that's doing it, but there's a lot of focus at the cadet levels in the sport of karting, because again, the future of motorsports begins in karting, and they're starting them young, as we continue to see. You're getting the 3-year-old kid karters out there now, when we thought 5-year-old was a bit kind of crazy and insane, but now it's getting younger and younger. So we'll see what happens with it. They've talked about a scholarship to one driver at the end of the season, so we'll continue to kind of follow that program as we move into the 2024 season. And going along with the moving up into the motorsports world, MPG Motorsports and Lucas Oil School of Racing has forged a partnership, which was announced during the Super Nationals. MPG's Billy Vincent has kind of put his focus on developing motorsports talent, not only drivers, but also mechanics, engineers, and other professions within the world of motorsports. It's kind of like a comprehensive carts to cars program involving everything. So the shop guys, the engineers, those who are working on the cars at the racetrack, and of course the drivers as well too, with this Lucas Oil School of Racing partnership that MPG Motorsports has been able to develop. They are hosting a January 15th through 16th basic plus and advanced school at the Sebring Raceway in Florida. They've also announced the Florida Winter Series, which will be held February 5 through the 7th at the Homestead Miami Speedway. That's kind of in conjunction with the SuperKarts USA Winter Series event that'll happen just after that at the AMR Motorplex, presented by MG Tires. So again, it's kind of a good bridge, Nate, to start the development of, we're seeing it with Skip Barber and the Carts to Cars program, Lucas Oil School of Racing, and MPG Motorsports now are putting a focus not only on the driver, but the all encompassing aspects of motorsports as well.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much been their message from the start of when they started this team off. This isn't just a team for drivers to progress. If you want to work in IndyCar, IMSA, or any major racing series as a mechanic or an engineer, they're also here to help you out with that as well. So, I mean, that's one of their messages they've had from the start. And then with the going more into depth with the Carts to Cars program, just another opportunity to bridge that gap between getting from carts to cars. Always nice to have more than one option, but you've seen Skip Barber was kind of the go-to for the longest time, and they still are one of the programs to go to, but now you have multiple different avenues to try and get your way into a car. So ultimately just helping out the karter who's trying to progress their career.
And especially or away from the driver's seat, that's something that Billy Vincent has proven already, taking people from the karting world and moving them up the ranks and into actually IndyCar. There are a lot of mechanics that are working at the Arrow McLaren team that are former or current karters. Mark French, Devin Harden-Smith, Kyle Kennedy, a number of other people. And of course, throughout the IndyCar paddock, and I would assume, of course, I don't know too many in the IMSA, but you look at that program, there's probably a lot of former or current karters in there as well. And NASCAR is certainly getting that bump with the Race City USA in Mooresville. There's a lot of that transition from people in the karting world moving into the NASCAR ranks in terms of mechanics or engineering or other aspects of the sport as well. So that's the part I love to see, and that's going to be something that we'll try and see and kind of spotlight a little bit more as that partnership develops. So with that, we'll head into our first commercial break, and we'll get into more news about karting in the 2024 season after these commercials.
Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlson Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlson Performance Group. We race to win. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and a Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the junior, senior, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the 2023 season include the Ignite Majors, which begins with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week as part of both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, which just finished up a record-setting season in 2022. Local club programs have also been established in other states all across the country, from Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite Karting program. Be part of fast fun and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite Kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and out onto the track in 2023. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. History, success, family. Those are the three words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today.
Welcome back to segment number 2 of This Week in Karting. It is episode number 72. It is December 13th, 2023. My name is David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as we are giving you the news and notes that has hit the ECAN homepage and social media outlets over essentially the last 2 months since we've had our last podcast show. Getting into the month of December, we're about halfway through, and the calendar will turn over to the 2024 season. Obviously, everybody's preparing now over the last couple of weeks for the season to hit. And one of the first programs to hit the tarmac and hit the racetrack will be the Challenge in Americas. And they announced a move to the Vega tires. So the Challenge in Americas essentially has stepped away with the Rock Cup USA program and gone off to essentially be a independent program. So not solely based around a one make engine program or a one make tire brand, although they are going with the Vega tires for the 2024 season and beyond. Full Throttle Karting will be the Western U.S. distributor for Vega tires under the TS Racing banner, which is the importer for the Vega tires here in North America. Challenge in America is set to provide the new Vega Green XH4 tires for all categories except the Cadet, which will run the red VAH tire, which everybody in the four-cycle world is familiar with, which is the official tire for the Cup Karts North America program. Cadet and 100cc categories will include both IAME and ROC engine platforms, along with shifter and master shifter categories to include KZ and ROC engines as well. The OKN category will return for a second year after becoming the first ever racing program to host a OKN category last year at the Challenge opener. Everything kicks off in February 2nd through the 4th at the Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. They'll be competing in the clockwise direction that weekend. And then an announcement recently was the move of the second event from the K1 circuit to the Musselman Honda Circuit on March 1st through the 3rd. So the K1 circuit not yet available for competition karting, not yet open. So we'll get more into that later. And then the series will wrap up April 12th through the 14th at Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California. So Nate, a move for Challenge in the Americas to the Vega tires. That's kind of a big news prior to hitting the Super Nationals.
Yeah, definitely will be. I don't know how much experience most drivers will have on Vega rubber. It's not something that's widely used when MG was kind of the go-to here in the States. But obviously, like you said, the MG Reds are very familiar for anyone in four-cycle competition. So maybe any of those cadet drivers that do run 206 or have run Grand Nats for CKNA will have some experience on that, but it'll be a interesting season to see how these drivers handle with some new tire compounds.
Yeah, and it's certainly a different compound compared to what everybody's used to. I would assume it's going to be a little bit softer than the normal what everybody's been used to utilizing over the course of the last couple of years. Of course, Vega's been a very popular brand around the world, and we'll see what it does and how it not only produces lap times. We'll kind of compare it to what we saw last year at Musselman Honda and Sonoma as well. But what it'll do for the OK category as well, because that's certainly an interesting category to have at the Challenge. And again, we talked to Andy Saisman in one of our face-to-face episodes recently. I believe that was last week that we did that, or the week before. I'm getting my days mixed up, but yeah, they're really excited about kind of the outlook and what can happen. And again, welcoming not only ROC engines anymore, but the IAME side of things. That's kind of, and also KZ as well too for the shifter category program and platform. So that kind of opens things up for those who do only have the one engine platform in their garage. And so that'll be we'll see kind of how the numbers unfold with that. We've already seen entries coming in for that program as registration just opened up last week or on Monday. Was it this Monday? I can't see. I'm forgetting my days, Nate. That's the way it goes. So, but again, we'll be trackside for all three challenge races again, beginning February 2nd through the 4th at the Musselman Honda Circuit. Another 2024 event set in stone, ready to come back, is the Rock Island Grand Prix. They will host their 29th edition on August 31st through September 1st in Rock Island, Illinois, when the streets of the Quad Cities becomes a karting event over 2 days. Got notes from the Rock Island this year, attracting over 17,000 people into the Quad Cities area. So it was a busy weekend in the Quad Cities region. Again, you might not notice it trackside, but again, a lot of people come and go. This was kind of a research and what's the word I'm looking for? Census on the weekend that was the Rock Island and Labor Day weekend. So again, not exact numbers, but that was the estimate coming from the city of Rock Island and the Quad Cities region. So again, it was a good one this year. We stayed away from the rain and hoping to do the same next year, or this coming 2024 edition of the Rock Island Grand Prix, which will be the 29th running of the race. Again, that's a long stretch for karting events here in North America. Not sure what they're going to do category wise. We got to assume, Nate, that'll still be Briggs, KA, shifters, and vintage. That'll kind of be the lineup. And that's kind of been the successful thing they've had over the last couple of years.
Yeah, obviously sticking to those categories probably aren't going to see too much expansion. I would expect it's a formula that has been worked fairly well for them in the past couple of years, so probably going to stick to that. And like you said, attracting 17,000 people to a go-kart race isn't an easy feat, so that's hats off to them for that. If they can then get those numbers a bit, obviously not 17,000, but get numbers up for the entry list for that race will definitely be a boost for them going forward into the future to try and cement this race on the calendar.
Yeah, and we hear news coming about another program through Rock Island Grand Prix. One of it kind of stemming off what happened this year with Chase Jones and Race Labrante earning entries to the Super Nationals. We almost saw Chase Jones pull that off into a victory at the Super Nats, which would have been an amazing feat. But stay tuned for more on that. And of course, we'll have full trackside coverage all weekend long from the Rock Island Grand Prix. 2024 news continues with the United States Pro Kart Series announcing their venues for the 5 events for the 2024 season. Nate, kind of give us a rundown of the schedule in the 2024 season for USPKS.
So going back to most of the tracks we had on the calendar last season, with one new one, starting off though with Speed Sports Racing Park in Texas. That'll be April 5th through the 7th to kick off the 2024 campaign. Trackhouse is moved to the second round of the season. That is May 17th through the 19th in North Carolina. New for 2024, but not new to the series, is Millwright Raceway in Dousman, Wisconsin. That'll be June 28th through the 30th. August 9th through the 11th is the penultimate round at Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. And then rounding off their season, September 27th through the 29th will be in Newcastle, Indiana at the Newcastle Motorsports Park.
Yeah, I was just looking back to see. I know we were at Badger Kart Club circuit the opening year of the United States Pro Kart Series. That would have been 2013. Maybe it was 2014 we went back there again for a second time, but I thought it was a different year. So I didn't see anything in the results. 2020 was at the Road America, because that was the revised year because of something happened in 2020. Not sure what that was. I won't talk about it.
I can't think of it.
But we used to go to Shawano, Wisconsin, a couple of times, 2016, 2015. So I got to assume I can't find. Oh, I do have the 2024 results. Let me go to that. I think it was 2014. Yes, that we did go. Anyway, I know for sure we went in 2013, the first year of the USPKS program, to Badger Raceway. So this might only be the second time. Maybe I was there for a WK race. I don't know. It's all blending, and I don't see it on the USPKS results. So yeah, it must have been for a different race weekend. Yeah. So this will be at least the second time. So we'll knock that at least the second time, as you said, Nate. I was trying to confirm how many times, so we'll just go with 2 as of right now until I can find more concrete evidence. That's all I can find right now. So we'll stick with that and say a second time. One of the interesting things, though, that they did announce in that announcement was no drop race. They're going to go the full 5 events, counting towards the championship in all categories. So that is kind of the change in that. They did notice, there were a lot of championships that are kind of essentially decided before we got to Trackhouse Motorplex for the 2023 season finale. So they're hoping, we'll see, and maybe possibly change the actual points handed out, kind of the structure of that. They're still kind of looking at that as well too, but for sure, no drop races. So every time you're on track, Nate, I think that's kind of the thing about being a professional series. If we're going to be pro, let's count every single session you are on the racetrack towards the championship. And I think that'll be a win-win.
Yeah, for sure. For those of us watching and tuning in from home. And then obviously, like you said, it has the pro in the name of USPKS. So treating it like that pro series every time you're on track, that ultimately will count towards your season. At the end of the year, you're not going to be able to really have that too many bad results, especially with the strength of field we've been seeing in USPKS the past couple of years. It's if you have a bad final or a bad couple of heat races on one weekend, ultimately that could be what decides your championship order. So should be fun, should be a lot of more championships coming down to the wire at Newcastle.
Yeah, we'll see. And then again, their championship prize ceremony will be that evening at Newcastle Motorsports Park on the 29th to wrap things up. Also, another quick change, they will replace the last chance qualifiers with a B main. So those not able to transfer in directly to the final in KA Senior and KA Junior will go into a B main. So a longer kind of main event for them, but they will still transfer to the top 2 finishers into the main event. So we'll have to kind of see how that goes. But again, add some value to those racers who not quite able to perform to their best on the weekend. With that, we'll head into our second commercial break, and we'll talk more about recent events that have happened in the sport of karting after these commercials.
It's a multi-time world champion, and it's a SuperKarts USA Super Nationals winner. It is Sodi Kart. And starting in 2023, the Sodi brand has found a new home here in the US. Sodi Racing USA is the new exclusive importer of the Sodi Kart chassis line under the karting distribution banner, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Sodi Kart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from Mini to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has already begun establishing its dealer network, working with the Karting Collective on the West Coast and recently signing PK Sport to serve as a dealer and the official race team on the East Coast. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about the Sodi Kart chassis line or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. The state of Florida is the place to be if you want to win yourself a ticket to the 2024 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. The first opportunity to secure your ticket to next year's Grand Finals is the upcoming Rotax Winter Trophy. The 2-event, 4-round series takes place on consecutive weekends at the Orlando Kart Center in Orlando, Florida. Compete at the opening event of the 2024 Rotax Winter Trophy on January 26 to 28 at OMC, and then return for the second doubleheader on February 2nd to 4th for your chance to compete against karters from around the world. RTX USA Group is bringing in the best staff to oversee this year's 4-round Winter Trophy Championship program that will hand out 6 tickets to the 2024 Rotax Grand Finals. Compete in Micro, Mini, Junior, Senior, Master, DD2, and DD2 Masters this winter in Orlando. Learn more by visiting rtxkarting.com today.
Welcome back to segment number 3 as we are into This Week in Karting, episode 72 on December 13th, 2023. David Cole and Nate Dean providing you the major news that has hit the EKN homepage and social media accounts over the last essentially couple of months since we've been in the podcast studio. One of the recent events that happened was karting returning to the PRI trade show. The PRI e-karting Classic, presented by Top Kart USA, was held inside the Lucas Oil Stadium on December 7th. The All-Star event, which took place on the Thursday night happy hour program as part of the trade show, included a number of All-Star drivers from NHRA, Indy NXT, NASCAR, NHRA, AMA, Pikes Peak Climber, USAC, Formula Drift, a number of different motorsport forms and drivers represented with this all-star event that happened, all on the M-Stem 3 Top Kart package, which is an electric kart, so electric powered program. Again, full race kart, just with the electric power that is utilized. And this M-Stem 3 program is actually utilized for high school and collegiate competitions that are kind of based solely around, not solely around, but around Purdue University and high schools within Indiana, but is really starting to branch out across the country. So this was a unique opportunity to actually see karts inside Lucas Oil Stadium, albeit on essentially plastic boards that they put down on top of the artificial turf that is inside Lucas Oil Stadium for the football Indianapolis Colts team. Nate, what was kind of your, looking at the online videos and social media stuff that occurred from there? What was kind of your take on this indoor electric karting event that happened at PRI show?
Yeah, obviously a fairly cool event. Top Kart, who put the event on, were fairly transparent and showed a lot of the process for it on social media. The plastic boards you mentioned, essentially the same things that stadiums will put down on fields if there's a concert or anything. So you can imagine if trying to put go-karts on that, it got a little slippery. I think they intended on having dry tires to begin with, and then if you watch some of the videos towards the end of the weekend, they opted for a bit of softer rubber on the rain tires, and they were essentially drifting around what was a pretty compact, almost oval kidney bean shaped course. But it was fun to watch. There wasn't any live stream or broadcast of it that you could get, but seeing the stories that Top Kart put on, the videos that they did throughout the weekend, it sure looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was very similar to a layout that we had back in 2011 when there was the Indy Karting Classic, which was again put on by Bill McLaughlin, who is part of Top Kart USA. They did it inside the what is now the Gamebridge Fieldhouse. I think back then it was the Conseco Fieldhouse, which is where the Indiana Pacers and a lot of the NCAA tournament games are held. I actually got to watch Michigan beat Tennessee there a couple of years ago. That was a really cool place. But to be in there to watch karting, basically they do have the cement or the concrete in there. And then they just put down Coke syrup to kind of help sticky up the racetrack for the grip to be there for the dry tires. The bad side of it in that race was the exhaust fumes. It just overran the air system inside what was then the Conseco Fieldhouse, and so there was just a lot of smoke that just wouldn't leave the stadium at all, which kind of made a little bit havoc. So eventually they had to start just opening up the doors, the garage doors inside the stadium to kind of help get the air circulated out of there. But with the electric side of things, that's not something you have to worry about, so it kind of shows you like this could be something that could be really cool for indoor karting. And it kind of opens up the door. Like, well, you see like St. Louis has this big massive stadium there that they have the Gateway Dirt Nationals inside. They just started setting up for that event. I think it happens this weekend. I'm not sure, Nate, if you're familiar with that, but like, could you imagine having a karting event, just do electric engines, inside a stadium, like the full stadium of Lucas Oil Stadium, or the one in St. Louis, or some other stadiums that actually have the capacity to hold it has the cement laid down, ready to go for karting, kind of like the Bercy we saw in France years ago that are, YouTube favorites for karting and motorsports people. Could you imagine? Could you see like an actual full sprint track inside a stadium like that?
Yeah, especially with the rise of electric karting and a lot of that being down to Top Kart, and then obviously Rotax have their program going that we saw at the grand finals that we'll get to in a little bit. It could be interesting to see. We could have maybe some sort of like all-star race per se in one of those events. It'll be one to remember. Definitely don't know who would take that up. Maybe it would be Rotax, because we do see a bit of a influx in drivers participating in Rotax events in 2023. That program is starting to come back a little bit. So you never know. It's never off the table. It would obviously be a ton of event planning and marketing to get that off the ground and going, but it would definitely be cool to see.
Yeah, the road tax is another avenue. So yeah, again, we'll have to kind of wait and see how, again, all this shapes up and what we can be able to do. Hopefully EKN will be part of the PRI trade show next year. We're looking at being there next year. I believe it's December 12th through the 14th in Indianapolis. And maybe we'll kind of get some more NASCAR and IndyCar and maybe guys who actually race karts back in the day a little bit more in there, kind of maybe add even more in terms of star-studded field compared to what was there this year. Jared Mees, a AMA flat track driver, teamed up with Scott Birdsell, a Pikes Peak climber. So those guys are just insane alone. And for them to, they know car control or not necessarily car, but bike control as well too, with Jared Mees being on a two-wheel machines all the time. They were able to come in P1 of the event. Alex Lachlan, a NHRA driver, and Davey Hamilton Jr. from USAC were second, with Kevin Thomas, I believe USAC driver, teaming up with Connor Daly from IndyCar. They finished third in the event. So we'd love to see, again, wasn't there, but hopefully we can, now that we know about it, if it's going to return next year, maybe we can help promote this starting now and into the December of 2024 and make it really big and get a lot more karting back behind it. Because again, back in the day, karting was part of the PRI trade show back in Orlando when we had a number of all-star karting classics outside in a parking lot. Again, a smaller racetrack, I believe, 15 seconds was the lap time. So it was a unique thing. But I mean, you're talking 3,000 spectators or more watching the event. Certainly puts on a great show. So hopefully we'll be able to partner back up with PRI again next year. The most recent karting event, which took place around in Bahrain at the Bahrain International Karting Circuit, was the 2023 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals, held December 2nd through the 9th. Again, 9 drivers representing Team USA took the trip over to Bahrain to compete in a number of the different categories available, all earning tickets here in the U.S. and Canada, including Derek Wang, who was our top driver in the the DD2 Masters division, finishing in 6th spot. This was his 12th time as a Team USA member at the Rotax Grand Finals. Of course, that category was won by Canadian Ben Cooper, who won his ticket at the U.S. Trophy Final at Newcastle Motorsports Park this past September. Cooper adding a 4th victory at the Rotax Grand Finals. So his first in DD2 Masters after finishing 2nd on the racetrack, but a pushback bumper penalty to the provisional winner, handing him the title. I think it was all but one category had the provisional winner not actually winning the race. One of them being Team USA driver Lucas Palacio, who had the Micromax victory on track with a great last lap pass in order to secure the top spot. But unfortunately, the win was taken away following technical inspection, dropping Lucas Palacio off the results. and taking what could have been a third victory for Team USA in the Micro Max division at the event. So other notables, Cooper Auclair in the Senior Max category, Billy Cleveland, the longtime karting veteran, finishing his international national campaign at the age of 66, got into the DD2 Masters category. Race Liberante was among the contenders until getting wrecked in the pre-final and had to start in the back of the main event. Unfortunately, was only able to get into the top 20, I believe. Let's see who else we had. Nix Eggleston was a contender for much of the event in Junior Max. Giovanni Santora alongside him in Junior Max, the only driver unable to make a main event. Gage Korn was unable to make the Mini Max category, but as we talked about Rotax in the electric side of things, Gage Korn got to compete in the new E10 category, which were 12 drivers who didn't make the main event for Mini Max got to swap out their 125 Max engine for the electric E10 powertrain, and got to race in a main event on that Saturday with all the other finals. I believe Korn finished in the 6th spot. Let's see who else. Mateo Quinto was the other Minimax driver. He made the main event and was into the top 20 until a wreck on the final circuit took him out of the race. So, Nate, I don't think I missed anybody else. We talked about all the different categories and all the Team USA members, correct?
Yeah, can't think of anyone else off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was an interesting week. I'm not sure how much you followed the track coverage or online coverage. You know, Henry Boudet, who was at the Super Nationals, did the U.S. Trophy Final as well, was the lead announcer at the Rotax Grand Finals as the official voice of Rotax now. He essentially was losing his voice by the end of the week with all the excitement that was happening there in Bahrain. So excited to see that. And excited to see the 2024 edition heading back to Sarno, Italy, October 19th through the 26th. It'll be back at the Circuito International Napoli in Sarno, Italy. So that'll be an exciting Rotax Grand Finals in 2024, which will be the 25th edition, Nate, of that event. So what kind of stands out when you think of the Rotax Grand Finals for you?
I mean, obviously the unofficial tagline of the Olympics of karting and seeing some of the best drivers compete in what is an invitational event is always fun to watch, with the whole week-long format, essentially, of races. It was fun to watch this year at what looked like a incredible Bahrain circuit. A lot of drivers having some pretty high praise for that race, but it should be nice to be heading back to Europe, back to Napoli and Sarno for what you said, the 25th edition of this race in 2024.
Yeah, excited to see what happens. Again, a revised racetrack, because the last time I think they were there, they had the old layout. I believe Ryan Norberg was one of the top contenders in Senior Max that year. I can't remember which, 2019 maybe. Yeah, but now it's a different layout. So that'll be interesting to see how, those drivers who might have been there before compare it in 2024. So again, we'll be able to follow all of the Team USA coverage next year through ekartingnews.com. Maybe we'll even be trackside for next year's event as well. So more on that and how to get part of Team USA for 2024. Make sure you go to rtxkarting.com. They'll be hosting the Rotax Winter Trophy program down in Orlando this winter, and then head up to the racerotax.com website to find out more about the U.S. Trophy West program, the U.S. Trophy East program, which will be announcing its details soon. Both programs awarding Rotax Grand Final tickets, and of course the U.S. Trophy Final, which will happen once again towards the end of the year, where more Rotax Grand Finals tickets will be awarded. With that, we'll head into our final commercial break, and we'll talk more about what's going on with the website and podcasts and radio and editorial after this break.
If you want to get better, you have to race against the best. And the best come to race with Superkarts USA. In 2024, Superkarts USA is shaking things up both with their Winter Series and their 15th edition of the Pro Tour, which will focus solely on the East Coast for the first time. The Winter Series will kick off at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex on the January 12th to 14th weekend, and the 2-event, 4-race series will cap off at the Orlando Kart Center on February 9th to the 11th. The SKUSA Winter Series program is designed to lead into the Pro Tour and gives drivers moving up in a category the chance to get acclimated to their new classes, or simply shake off the rust from the off-season. The SuperKarts USA Pro Tour will kick off its 2024 schedule back at the Orlando Kart Center on May 8th to 10th with the Winter Nationals, while the 15th Annual Spring Nationals will be SKUSA's first visit to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati on the June 14 to 16 weekend. The season finale, the Summer Nationals, will return to Newcastle Motorsports Park on July 26 to 28. Information on the 27th running of the sport's biggest race, the SKUSA Super Nationals in Las Vegas, will be released next year. Head to www.superkartsusa.com to learn more. Precision Performance Karting, the winningest Briggs 206 team in the US in 2023, is ready to get you to victory lane in 2024. As the factory team for Coyote Racing Chassis, PPK won the biggest 4-cycle races of the year, sweeping senior light, medium, and heavy at the CKNA Grand Nationals, and they have also won an iconic Duffy at the ICAP Sprint Grand Nationals in Texas. In 2023, Precision Performance Karting also traveled north of the border to dominate the Cup Karts Canada finale at Goodwood, beating Canada's best Briggs racers. Our total focus is on winning, and we simply get the job done. Join our team, and we can help you win too. We have several levels of support available for 2024, from full-service arrive and drive programs to tent-only options. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned veteran, our championship-winning, PPK-prepared Coyote Zenith karts are ready to power you to great results. Join our team today. To become a Precision Performance Karting driver or to learn more about our operation, contact John Seglem at ppkartingfl@gmail.com or check us out online at ppkartingfl.com.
Welcome back to the final segment of episode 72 of This Week in Karting, December 13th, 2023. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean. We're just kind of wrapping up the show with our EKN editorial, EKN podcast review, and EKN radio network. Editorial, 25 years of Howden Media Group. We did just prior to the Super Nationals, wrote up a kind of a retrospective of the last 25 years for Howden Media Group, which started as a magazine, turned into multiple magazines, and now have essentially turned into online media source for the sport of karting. And again, Rob Howden, owner and publisher of Howden Media Group, ekartingnews.com, and other entities, celebrating 25 years of covering the sport under that brand, under the name. So again, congrats to Rob, and thank you again for hiring me almost nearly 20 years ago, and for hiring Nate, a year and a half ago? Yeah, year and a half, I think, is June of 2021 or 22, right? No, Nate, did I lose you?
22. Sorry. A fan kicked on and it was fairly loud, so I muted myself. But yeah, you're right. June 2022.
What fan? It's hot or it's cold out. Why do you got a fan on?
Heater.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, so you got a heater.
Go.
Yes, you have a space heater in it, and it kicks on. I understand that. I'm in my basement. I have the same situation.
Not a fan in 24 degree weather.
I was gonna say, because it's freezing here in my house. So again, EKN editorial, EKN trackside, SuperKarts USA, Super Nationals 26. Get all the details, information, all our coverage on the website of the event. Also, the driver of the month for October of 2023 was Christopher McKeithen, the winner at the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals, and also the IKF Sprint Grand Nationals in the 206 senior category. So McKeithen Nate, he's certainly a driver to watch in terms of four-cycle racing, especially this year, and only what was his rookie season.
Yeah, I think you're right in saying that. We were, at least I was, at MCC for CKNA North when he got his first senior division win on a regional level, at least in medium. He came out of the gate swinging there and really has been a dominant force in four-cycle racing senior competition. Since then, like you said, getting 2 Grand National wins in the same month is always going to be impressive, especially the big one for four-cycle racing at Newcastle Motorsports Park with CKNA. So a really good month of October for him and a really impressive 2023 campaign and senior for him. And it should be very, very interesting to see what he can do moving forward into 24.
Yeah, we'll see. 2024 already started. I didn't get a chance to review the CKNA Winter Nationals results from NOLA Motorsports Park too much, so we'll have to be doing that very soon to see kind of where some of the four-cycle drivers are starting off the 24th season already before we get into the actual calendar year. Another editorial was the SCUSA Hall of Fame, kind of an establishing the selections for the 2023 class of 2023, which included Dominic LeBrock and Stefan St. Charles from PSL Karting, along with Gary Carlton for his driver and obviously industry side of things. So all 3 drivers joining Rob Howden, Chris Ortenberger, Terry Riggins, Bonner Moulton, Greg Bell, Track Magic as a group, many others, Don Janowski, trying to think of the other ones that were part of the inaugural class. Again, a long list of very notable people that have been part of Supercarts USA since it was established in the late 90s and continues on here in the United States. So again, great to see Dominic, Stefan, and Gary part of that crew. And then recently, Rob Howden penned a morning coffee giving thanks. Again, talking about, we are entering what I think will be the 20th season of Howden Media Group owning ekartingnews.com and thanking all the different partners that we've had over the years, especially those who have been part of it since the beginning. I know Acceleration Kart Racing is one of them. Franklin Kart, another. Just the coverage we're able to produce and provide is based on those companies and families and that have supported what we do. And again, there truly is no words for the amount of thanks that we can give back other than thank you. Providing me the opportunity to do this for nearly 20 years, Rob for now 25, again, with the magazine and this website as well. Take a look at it and see what Rob was able to put down. Again, a much better writer than I am or Nate is. So make sure you check that out. And again, stay tuned. We will have the final standings for the 2023 ECAN driver rankings presented by Skip Barber Racing School. Once we get the last event, which will happen this weekend down in Florida, the Sunshine State Karting Challenge would be the final 2023 standings event completed. We'll be able to produce those. So those will be coming out on December 21st for the shifter kart ranks and then 22nd for tag rankings. Nate, before we haven't even done the calculations yet, do you have any idea of who's going to finish where?
It'll be hard. I mean, especially with just how close both of these categories have been. Bit of a shakeup at the Super Nationals, at least for those in the top steps, with Formal obviously not running a full-time campaign, so he'll kind of be a disruptor in shifter. Kremers will obviously get a bit of a boost from finishing second. On the tag side of things, I believe Turney, the last time we posted those, was on top, but with his injury that he sustained over in Europe a couple of months ago, be interesting to see if he can hold on to that top spot. I'm a bit skeptical if he can, but I mean, as we've seen all through 2023, it's just the pro categories have been so close on track and now off track.
Yeah, with Norberg getting that runner up and replacing or adding a Super Nationals finish to his total for the last 12 months. And then the Formal Kremers thing, that's going to be interesting, but even Myers finishing right there on the podium as well. So again, a lot to kind of overview once we get the final calculations completed. And again, we'll have that next week. So EKN podcast review, again, all available on EKN and through iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe and give us a review. You can get the last episode, 71 of This Week in Karting, which was in October 25th. That's available for download, along with the 2-part program of the Outlap previewing the Supercards USA Super Nationals 26, along with the 2 parts of the debrief for Super Nationals 26. Those are available for download, along with the audio versions of Face to Face with Keith Freber of Margay Racing and Andy Saisman of Challenge of the Americas. Again, Margay Racing set to head to their Ignite Dash at Daytona program that'll be at the end of December, along with entering their 60th season of business in 2024. So that's pretty cool. And again, more details about the Challenge in the Americas program, the move to Vega tires, the categories offered, as well as more with the fun and lovable Andy Saisman. EKN Radio Network, again, the only 24-hour, 7 days a week channel dedicated to karting in the world. Again, you'll hear this episode of This Week in Karting tomorrow on the EKN Radio Network. We'll continue to do our rewinds, looking back at previous racing events playing on the radio as well. And then watch out for a roundtable. We are setting one for next week. We have a column coming up, and that might be the topic for the roundtable and kind of the sport as a whole. So stay tuned for that. That'll be obviously live on YouTube. And then we'll put a audio version into EKN Radio Network and make available for a podcast as well. With that, we'll head into what's coming on EKN. Trackside will be January 12th through the 14th, Supercards USA Winter Series at the AMR Motorplex in Homestead, Florida. And we'll kick off our 2024 campaign trackside in Florida. Following that will be Trackside Live with February 2nd through the 4th at Challenge in Americas, the Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. So those will be our first 2 trackside events of the 2024 season. Again, follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And again, no TikTok yet. I'm just not ready to pull the trigger. Nate, anything else as we wrap up this episode of This Week in Karting?
A long season of karting pretty much coming to an end. Obviously, we have Sunshine State Karting Championship to go for the driver rankings, but it's nice. It feels like a little bit of weight off your chest or weight off the shoulders after 2023 and how chaotic that one's been. But looking forward to 2024 and what that has to bring.
Yeah, looking forward to a new season, the 20th of mine. And again, just excited to get it trackside. It's been a couple weeks already. I'm itching. I'm ready to get back to the track and get that competition flowing again. Love it. Love being trackside. Love covering the sport. And we'll continue to do that here at ekartingnews.com. So with that, we'll sign off on this episode of This Week in Karting. Again, thank you for listening.